Brother Rhonda and David are all part of the team here at Ransom Wind Ranch. So we're delighted to have you all here. And these horses are sponsored by J Mac and Kayla, and this is our 4th arena time. Is there anybody here that was here all 4 times? Ah, very good. I do remember you being here all 4 times. Very good. Did I miss anybody else besides our sponsors, obviously? Well, I want to tell you the journey and what we're going to do today and what our hope and plan is. How many were here more than 2? How many were 2 times? Excellent, good. We're gaining a little momentum. Well, 7 weeks ago, the first part of January, we brought in 4 2-year-olds. Now, the year before, we had halter broke them, but they don't do much in between, so they were a handful. And these are the 4 7 weeks earlier, the 4 that you'll see today. So the first arena time we had, which was a week after we got them here, we had already ponied them with another horse and been on their backs, but we had not ridden them independently. 2 weeks after that, we began to ride all 4 of them independently for that Saturday and show that they could walk, trot, and canter independently and walk through that process. And then, 2 weeks ago, we had an obstacle course. So we had all kinds of obstacles and showed you how important trials are to the development of a horse's faith and development. Desi, there's a piece of paper there on that step. Would you bring that to me, please? I want to show you this a little bit, and then come in here and take it back from me. Just bring it on in to me, will you, please? Now, if you wonder what we're talking about today, we've got 4 2-year-olds, and we're really talking about one primary thing: boundaries, brokenness, and blessing, illustrated by a concept called grace. You think, boy, this ought to be interesting. How are we going to work all this? Well, just hold that chart up right there for them to see. Okay, now get out here in front where they can all see that chart. That chart means nothing to you. It doesn't matter. You can't see it anyhow, and if it were my handwriting, you couldn't read it anyhow. So that's just how it is. But what I want you to understand, that's a scope and sequence chart. It has 8 steps of progressional growth, 4 levels of maturity. So when you're dealing with a horse that's never been ridden, you have a start-up horse, then you have a Greenbroke horse, you have a stabilized horse, and then you have a finished horse. Okay, so we understand there's entry-level employees, there's group leaders, team leaders, there's floor managers or plant managers, and then there's vice presidents. There's different levels of maturity, but there's different stages within those, different concerns within them. Okay, so we chart every horse on this. I'm a counselor, so we chart people on this so they can measure it's like a growth and rate chart for a health growth chart for a baby. If they're this age, it should basically be this weight, this height, that kind of thing. So we see what normal progression is. So if a baby is stunted for some reason, they may be older than their body appears. Thank you, that's all we need. So we do that because the Bible outlines different processes, procedures of our own development. But it also talks about the baby, the child, the father, and the young man, or the young man and the father as we would normally progress it accordingly. So there are different stages, and at each stage you ask the same questions, but at a different level of intensity. When we work horses, we gather them from the catch pen, from the BLM horses in Utah. We've certainly had those in. From the Brumbies in Australia, we've had those run in. We've had Mongolian ponies run in that have never seen or been touched by man. And we have to ride those horses within a certain frame time. Usually we allow 2 hours to ride those horses and to work with them. But they're not broke. They just had their first ride. Today, these horses are what I would call Greenbroke. Now, Greenbroke depends whether you're buying or selling. You got it. If you're selling, they're broke. If you bought them, they're green. That's kind of like bananas, you know. Now, these horses may be more broke in 7 weeks than a lot of horses ever will be in their lifetime. And I think you'll witness that this morning. But they're not stabilized. They're not ready to put a child on them and then have the same outcome because they don't have anything of enduring quality to keep on performing when the rider can't give to them that quality. So they're green. They're not stabilized at all. So they're not a lesson horse yet, because if the rider's incorrect or inconsistent, they would fall apart. They would They would not do their best. So these horses need boundaries. You cannot train a horse without a fence. You cannot build a life without a boundary. Everything God does, He puts a boundary around. The purpose of boundaries are to defend from evil, to develop from within, and to direct us in a way. So we started with these horses, and here's the key I want you to understand. We started by simply running them into the trailer, getting a halter on them with a lead rope so we could actually go in there and catch them and start to lead them 7 weeks ago. And then we got them to lead. And then we taught them how to tie. And then we taught them how to pick their feet up. And then we taught them how to handle a blanket. And then we taught them how to handle a saddle. And then to be ponied. Did I lose something here? There you go. To be ponied by another horse. Then to be bridled. Then to be ridden at a walk, trot, and canter. And then to be ridden with no spur, and eventually a bump spur, and finally a spur. So today, when we come in here today, we're riding a horse now in a box between our legs and our eyes, and the horse begins to follow our body without the reins because it senses where we're going. We have a relationship going, and these are 7-week-old, 2-year-olds. So the horse begins to, not perfectly, but sense my field of direction. And when I want to stop it, the horse, whoa, has a relationship of substance. Not perfectly. That's why it needs reins. Now, all this time, we've been waiting for time, and now we've started to tie their mouths shut. Parents, you have to earn this. So we have a drop nose band on this filly. So that it's loosely fitted. So that, in other words, because when you ask young people and young horses anything with a bit, they go, how come? Why do I have to do that? And so our mouths open all the time. And that's typical with young horses, immature horses. Their mouths always open. We call that bit evasion. So we have to earn the right to tie their mouth shut. When I bring the other colt out, when I put a drop nose band, I put a cavesson on him actually, which came down below the bit, which is a little more confining. That horse flipped over 3 times this week. Why? Too much, too fast. Now I want you to understand how this plays into political correctness in the world we're living in, friends. But you have to understand the context and where we're headed today. So, when we talk horses, so we're all on the same playing field, this deals with behavior. You can, easy, you can control behavior. Like I said, they're green broke. So you can expect anything at any time when you startle them. And I startled her, that's good. And then the shoulder represents attitude, and way back here is the heart. And you got to earn your right to this end back here. So we start to put boundaries, put fences to the side with our legs in our seat, and those are passed. So we can take the horse now, this young horse, like we can move the shoulders here. Cammy, go ahead and ride your horse, just work it this way. We work the shoulders always until there's lateral softness. So we have to have enough fence that we can start to teach them brokenness. Now you may not be able to see it, but when I put my leg at the shoulder here, she tends to take her hip over. She's not bending in the middle. So I'll pick her up right here and get her to step forward. I'll drive my seat. You always lead a horse. See how her hip's leading? See how this hip's leading to the outside? You may not be able to see that, but watch it change. See, she's upset. So I'll push. You always lead a horse from your seat, not from your hands. Hands represent rules. So while I have rules on her, I need to build enough relationship. There we go. Now, you see how high-headed this colt is over here? Okay. So today, whoa, we're going to start to take a hold of their head. But you cannot do that. You cannot frame somebody's mouth and their words until you've earned the right to harness it from the rear end. We push the rear end to the face rather than pull the face back to the rear end. Political correctness is controlling what people say so that they don't offend anybody, and we call that love. Trouble is, it doesn't empower anybody, it disempowers everybody. So to get a horse to soften in their face, we must drive them from the heart. Out of the heart, man speaks. It's out of the abundance of our heart that we bless or curse. The Bible says our heart teaches our mouth and adds persuasiveness to the lips. But before you can get there, every time we ride a young horse, especially, and we've been working for 7 weeks to get this, we have to start slowly moving the shoulders over. And we'll move the shoulders over in this filly. And as we do, we use our hands in this way. We use an inside hand always close to the neck. Your reins do very little except help a horse with their attitude and their direction. So we pick up on the right rein at the neck until the jaw and the neck soften. The mouth, right there. See her soften on that jaw right there? See this slack in the rein that she puts? The outside rein in this scenario controls the hip. So so we'll get her to canter on her right leg. Good. And we'll push her up. Now she's tending to stick out a little bit. Now watch as I take my right rein, my left rein, and push the head down. Push the head down with my seat. Push the head down until she releases it. I push the belly and I push the head down. Push the head down. Push, 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 push. Whoop, there she got excited and came up with her head. A horse only raises their head when she ran out of gas. Whoa. They don't have much gas. The moment you start training a horse beyond their energy level, you just lost the fight. We have short windows to win the hearts of people around us. That's why the scriptures tell us to be angry. You're going to have lots of episodes in life, but don't sin. Don't let the sun go down. You don't have the energy to win this fight if you let it go on. Anger is a powerful motivator to get us to do something when we're motivated. And if we dissipate that anger, we let things steep and destroy relationships. So I have a window, a very short window in these colts, in which I need to get them to collect. Now, collection means that the horse moves from behind, moves forward into the face. Now slowly, good, push. I'm going to coach Cammie a little bit. Now get your right hand in, put your left seat bone and push out the shoulder. Take your left rein out. Left rein out. Good, out, out and back. Don't cross the midline. Push with the seat, drive. Push this horse down. Push. I don't care where the horse's head is. But I'll tell you why we want the horse's head down in a minute. There, see him come. Now, see the tension on the right rein. Drive. He's going to quit on you. Drive. Do not let him win. Pull. And he's opening his mouth. He's gaping at his mouth. Do not hold on that right hand. Just hold it steady. Go ride. That's what we call whispering around here. Ride, drive. Do not let that colt win. Argue. See him arguing? He's sassing. He's weak ticket. So we want to tend to put more pressure on the right rein. We don't do that. We just put more pressure on our seat. We influence. Watch the colt. Watch him find it. He'll come. Push, 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 push. Drive. Good. Drive. Don't pull back. Come on, outside. Get on the outside. Push him forward when he does that. Don't use that inside hand. Just keep that hand steady. This is a pretty nice colt, actually. Watch, drive, outside, outside leg. You're late on that. You're pulling on the inside, on the outside of the horse and driving. Inside on this side of the circle, outside on that side of the circle. You've got to set the boundaries, not on the horse, friends, on you. Drive! Get on that outside and get her. I'll get it after you. Go! Go, come on, lift, drive. There, that English saddle you're going to throw away in a minute, aren't you? Yeah, there you go, good, wrong lead. Okay, slow down, breathe, relax, no problem. Now, when I yell, it's because of intensity and timing. When I say something, you do it now. Hey! The lead rope came loose. Come here, buddy. Watch him, there you go. Lead rope came broke or something. All right, good. Now, you have a window of time. Do you know 40 times in the book of Mark it says immediately you're to do things? You ever been convicted? You should follow up in a window of these guys. So these, when you're holding this horse's face, see this little filly cannot do a canter depart yet. So we're going to squeeze her up. Notice we open our body, we squeeze them up. Tighten your saddle. Is it? Not a problem. There you go. There you go. There it is. There it is. Stay at a trot. Don't worry about the canter. Take the left rein out. There he goes. Good. Push. Push. See him look for that release? Now, for the first time this week, we're finally getting this horse where we can start to lower his head. When a horse like this raises his head, friends, it's not that one's show wise or correct. what happens, the ligament of nuchi that runs all the way down the horse's head, across the shoulders, across the back, it's like a tent cord. When the head is raised, the tent cord becomes slack and the burden becomes heavy. When the horse lowers his head, and he can only lower it for two reasons. One, he's resting in the headship of the trainer, which he's doing right now. Good. When he stays there and gets that, you may push to a canter, but don't worry about it. There. Then we're pushing him to a canter. Good, 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 good. Push, push. There it is. Better. So at the canter, it was too much information for this morning. Too much excitement. Don't worry about it. Remember this, whenever there's a conflict, always lower your expectations. Don't lower your standards. So go back and pick a smaller fight that everybody can win. And all of us get ahead of ourselves, and you get a horse that's upset, you're falling off, you're angry, you're embarrassed, and so you have to go back, where can I go? So I step this filly here on the left side, same thing, hands right here. Now I will not canter her until she softens the jaw. You're going to see the rein slacken. Okay, why? There's only two things that matter, friends. There it is, right there. Okay, now watch. I hold the outside rein and I push off with my right leg. She doesn't canter. Not a problem. Not my job to make her canter. My job to set her up for success. My job is not to train a horse. My job is to set boundaries. Trot, 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 where she can make healthier decisions. Canter, canter, canter. No, wrong leg. Good. Now I will not stop her until she's forward. See the slack in the rein? Notice my body pushing her nose down. Push down. Push, push, push. This is leadership from impulsion, not from what? Push, 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 push. Whoa. Power. You cannot have power until you can earn the right to start to harness, channel, and to direct the resources in our lives. Otherwise, it's dissipated. You can always tie a horse down, tie their head down, and the majority of the horse people are worried about how they look and where their face is rather than how motivated they are from behind. But when you start on a different foundation, it makes all the difference. Now here's the deal, friends. All horses and all people have trials. The problem is never the trial, the spur, the bit, or the saddle. It's never the problem. The problem is how the horse interprets the bit, the trial, the spur. And when you and I have a grid of bitterness, of resentment, of rebellion, we will always wrongly interpret a poor conclusion. So the most important thing I do is to build in these horses a healthy means of interpretation. It's not important that they go fast. Okay, very good. Go get your next horse. You did a great job of getting him out. So we're going to work this a little bit right here, and I'm going to show you because when I started this filly, she's very quick. And it's not that I'm a bad rider, but I'm not sure I would have been on her had she moved too fast for me. Yeah, let's give her a round of applause. She did a good job on that colt and doing a good job. So if you were with me, I had to get a level of brokenness in communication before I could trust her and she could trust me, before I got on her. Why? Well, as Will Rogers says, there ain't a horse that can't be rode and there ain't a cowboy that can't be throwed. So I taught her on the ground, when I say whoa and lift up this rein, she unlocks this shoulder and she moves back until she learns how to move her feet in relationship to the word whoa. Now that was a little awkward and clumsy. That's fine, not a problem. Remember, it's not important that she hears me. It's important that she moves her feet and demonstrates that she's heard me. Whoa, lift, unlock this left front shoulder, the attitude. Left front leg comes behind the right front leg because the attitude is where all resistance comes from. Shoulder is where all the resistance, it's never in the face. It always comes from the shoulder because behind our frown, behind our attitude, behind our behavior is an attitude. So I say to the horse, now watch her unlock this shoulder. So a horse does this just like you and I do. guarded and turn their eyes away and so forth. But a horse locks with their shoulder. They stop on that right foot, they pivot on that foot, they stop on their forehand. So they have attitude issues to keep you from getting to their heart. So when I take this filly, I'm going to say, whoa, and I'm going to hold until she moves her feet quickly and softly. Now that's worship, friends, of the highest degree. Action and attitude. Why? It comes from a boundary that the horse respects. Grace is evidenced here. Forward motion. Grow. Move. Grace is evidenced in the R by respect for the bridle, respect for headship. Grace is evidenced in the horse being all in. So when the horse is resting, when I say whoa and take a limitation to the horse, and the horse reacts or yields, see the horse picking up its feet and moving until it's soft. You can only teach a horse that's soft because the resistance, the hardness, is the unwillingness to learn. Get him ready, if you will. So when we talk about a boundary, you can't help them in brokenness until they become, remember this, there's only two planes of measure, lateral and vertical. Vertical where the horse runs off, bucks, whatever. And when this horse became, so I had to work laterally to get the horse to be safe vertically. That's exactly what God does in our life. He uses people we don't like, circumstances that don't change, environments we can't. He works laterally to get our heart's attention to Him. So now watch this, gang, because now that you build on that, when you and I understand the benefit of boundaries, God always works in limitations in order to produce abundance. If a person doesn't manage pennies, they'll never have dollars. If a person doesn't honor moments, they'll never have hours and opportunities. And so we only work with these horses 1% at a time. So we get this, whoa, watch the footfall step back, watch the saw. Now there's the reaction. How come? See it just like us. See that mouth? So I stay with her. I don't ever punish her, but I don't reward her until she takes responsibility. She's reacting because she doesn't like the boundary, she doesn't want the responsibility, and she doesn't want to have to give any more than she has to. So I just stay with her until she gets the reward only for honoring boundaries and brokenness, and then watch, no. So this is a typical teenager that's being asked to do the dishes or clean the room or do something over. Soft until she gets soft. There she, come on, quit. Good. Then I open and step her around, and you notice how I begin to have access to the heart. I'm earning my way from behavior past attitude because I'm not taking bad attitude for garbage. I'm not punishing her. Just I'm going to wear her out until the attitude changes. Why? Because it's my job to teach her to honor me. And it's my job to be honorable. So now, when I take the same filly, I don't need to do that anymore. Now I can do this. So watch how she progresses because we only do this 1% at a time. So now I get her soft on this jaw, and I ride my seat forward so she knows I've locked the back door, and I jiggle my left rein. She's looking for an opportunity to come around. Yes. You can begin to appreciate what it cost her to get that far and what it cost me. You know, many times victories in other people's lives seem so easy for them and so hard for us, doesn't it? But when you're on the journey of the young horse or the young child, you realize it costs all of us the same. It costs blood. But you see, she's resting. And now, 5 words to grace. Grow, respect, all in, control, excel. So now that she moves forward into headship and rest, I begin to look for ownership. I'm a jealous trainer. I look for ownership of specific parts. So now I want to earn my right to this hip back here and begin to get more control of it. So again, I'll go to my left side. Okay, on your filly there. So I'll take this side and I'll, again, wait till she softens. I cannot teach her if she's not hearing. So I wait for her where she's moving forward softly into the headship. See that? See the forward motion she has? It's rocking. I have my seat behind her. So I block the back door. I let my seat do the rocking here. And I wait until she's soft. When she's soft, I can ask her for more. So I start to give her an opportunity to take the advantage. And as soon as she does, I open the left leg and I bring the right leg back until she comes around. Good. Great. Except we need to go farther. So now, instead of doing that, we just simply open the leg. You can see she comes. She doesn't rest and all. There she comes. There we go. Good. You see, we're always challenging her to let go of her comfort zone. The very thing we rewarded for her yesterday becomes the idol we destroy tomorrow. The very comfort and level of success you had yesterday is the very thing that God will destroy today in order to cause you to grow deeper in Him tomorrow. And that's exactly what we do with this horse. So now, I just simply jiggle that rein, pick up, open that leg, and this filly begins to move. Good. And that's all we're going to do with her today. Why? Well, that's all she needs to do right now. We got some more to demonstrate in the other horses, but here, I couldn't even get this filly to this end of the arena. Why? Because spooks ruled her life. Fear ruled her life. And now, confidence and boundaries, brokenness, create a blessing of confidence, of obedience, of attractiveness, of peace, of understanding, and of the ability to do things she could never do apart from that element. So we're going to let her go. Cam, let her on. Just a second. I want to show you something with this before I'm done. I forgot about that. So what I'm going to do with this filly, because I want to show you the levels, I'm going to take and pony my horse with this filly. At least that's the intent.